What is up, everybody? Week 6 of The Bachelorette, aka Tayshia's second week as our Bachelorette. And this was a pretty good episode. We got two group dates and a rose ceremony. We kind of finished off the dates from last week, got one date into the next week, and we got to send some guys home. Let's just start at the start of the date and we'll work our way through. So we opened up with a group date called the Grown Ass Man Date. This was kind of a challenge for the guys to do a couple tests to prove that they're a grown ass man. It felt kind of ridiculous to me, like most of the dates at La Quinta have been this season. This was probably one of the fanciest, highest budget dates we've seen. The scene where they're in the classroom didn't look like, for comparison, the wrestling scene where they were in a room and just had some curtains around the outside and then brought in some cheap chain link fence. This was probably an upgrade in those terms, but overall the dates have just not been. They've just been low budget. That's it. They're just low budget dates, and I think we can expect that for the rest of the season. So really, at this date, the highlight to me was definitely Bennett. He was the star. It started off with Bennett not faring very well on the academics test. He's the Harvard guy, Harvard, and there he is, unable to answer all these questions. Obviously that's what's going to get highlighted. I'm guessing there was more questions than what we saw, and for the most part, they just showed questions that Bennett got wrong. And then we go into the next part, which is kind of like a tug of war, which I have no idea what that has to do with being a grown ass man. Like, do you think that Tayshia came into this season and she's like, yeah, so whichever one of these guys is the strongest and the most competitive, that's who I'm picking. And like, so far, most of her group dates have had that to some degree. And it's like, no, that's not there for Tayshia. That's there to create the competition between the guys so that we get the drama between the guys. So we see Bennett, he decides he's not even going to participate in this one. He says, hey, I got bad knees. I'm out. From here, we go on to the last part of the date, which is creating breakfast in bed for Tayshia. And once again, Bennett is definitely the star. Chasen, he tried to be the star, and he had this whole cheesy thing like, I'm the breakfast in bed, baby. And it just felt like I don't know. Just felt not like something a grown-ass man would do, something that a childish man would do. And Bennett, he makes beignet from Chateau Bennett, and he's got his bathrobe on. He's in bed with her. He looks like he's made her a proper breakfast. And like, I think one guy he just had a bowl, had some yogurt and some random fruit in it. It's like, Tayshia, here you go. So Bennett wins this last portion by a landslide. And even though he didn't participate in the second part and absolutely bombed on the academic part, he wins the title of grown-ass man. Meanwhile, Ed, he gets the title of man-child, which apparently involved giving him a baby because, as a man-child, that's like the biggest punishment you can do, right? Like, giving you a baby to help show that you're mature and responsible and looking forward to having children. Like, I don't get that. I don't get that at all. So from there, we go on to the cocktail party, and the people who really stood out are Ivan and Ben. Ivan ends up getting the rose, And, I think we're starting to get a pretty clear picture of Ben, Ivan, and Zach. I'm going to say that those are probably going to end up being our final three. We're seeing quite a bit of Brendan as well. He had the big connection last week in the one-on-one date, but I'm gonna put him as sort of my number 4 right now. So right now, to me, it's Ben, Ivan, and Zach as my 3 front runners. Next up, we have the rose ceremony. Oh, by the way, we started this sort of feud between Chasen and Ed, where basically, and it seemed like Bennett and Ed basically calling out Chasen for basically saying the exact same things about Clare as he is about Tayshia. And, some of the guys are like, hey, this doesn't seem very authentic. You're just doing like the exact same routine again, even though it's a different person. So he kind of gets called out, Jason's not very happy about it. He says all this crap about he's going to show them the Wolverine, or they're Batman and Robin, and I'm Superman, or I mean the Wolverine, and it was just a bunch of garbage. The best line of that whole scene though is he's getting in Ed's face, and Ed says, "Get your medium shirt out of here." And Jason goes, it's a large, man. It's actually a large. And like he was all heartbroken, like that Ed guessed his wrong shirt size. Very ridiculous. Also, Ed had probably his highlight of the whole season when he's talking to Tayshia, and he says he called my legs chicken legs. That was also very classic, and I absolutely loved it. All right, next up we got the rose ceremony. Only 3 people get sent home. I thought we'd be seeing more go home. Montel, guy who got no screen time. Peter, guy who got no screen time. And Jay, a guy who's got no screen time, at least since Tayshia took over. They get sent packing. Really makes no difference in the show whatsoever because they were not even a factor. Chasen, he decides that he's coming up with a new word to describe Chasen and announces to all the guys, well, after telling all the guys like, hey guys, check out how genuine and real I am, he comes up with this new word and he says, you know what? Tayshia is a smoke show. And I saw this in Bachelor Fan Takes Discord, some people asking, what was a smoke show? And really, it's just a term for, like she's smoking hot, she's a smoke show. But the only real times I've heard that said is like drunk 20-somethings at a bar who, trying to kind of bro out and show off by how cool they are by calling women a smoke show. So, it is a compliment, but not very flattering. That would be what I would take away from that. The Ed and Chasen drama really continues for the rest of this episode. We go into another group date, and of course, they are both on it. And this date just seems straight up like a terrible idea. It's like, hey, we're gonna oil these guys up and have a full-on, blown-out wrestling, one-on-one wrestling matches between everybody. Very, very silly idea, if you ask me, and absolutely nothing good would come of that. And of course, they end up pairing Ed and Chasen against each other, and Ed just quietly goes over to Chris Harrison and he says, hey, I can't do this. My shoulders chronically dislocate. I'm not going to be part of this. And, I think it's unfair that they basically put the, aggressive macho guy with Ed. And not that Ed is a small guy by any stretch of the imagination, but clearly in a position where Chasen is going to try to hurt Ed. And shame on you, Bachelor producers, for manufacturing this moment. I think it's an absolute load of BS that you would put anyone on your show in that position. Absolutely pathetic. Absolutely pathetic that you would want to willfully encourage violence on your show, willfully encourage one of your cast members to try and hurt another cast member. Absolutely deplorable and pathetic. Bachelor producers, if you're watching this, get your crap together, because that is absolutely unacceptable in this day and age. And you should be ashamed of yourselves for, trying to force Ed into that position. So Ed has backed out of the date, or from the wrestling match, and Chris Harrison asks if anyone wants to fill in immediately. Noah says, yep, I'll do it, hops the fence and gets oiled up, and he has to wrestle Chasen in his jeans. And honestly, I thought he did pretty good. They gave Chasen the belt, gave him the championship, but I don't think that he beat Noah by that much. Noah had him flat on his back, fully mounted, and they give Chasen the belt for being the best wrestler. And then afterwards, Tayshia asks Noah if he wants to go on the date. You see, you guys catching on to the theme here with Noah. And then we go on to the cocktail party for this date. And Noah is really the center of attention at the cocktail date. We see the conversation between Tayshia and Noah. In my mind, I was sitting there thinking the whole time, like, this is going to come down to either Ben or Noah, absolutely 100%. And Noah is the first guy to get time with Chasen, or not time with Chasen, with Tayshia. And Bennett has this plan that he's going to wait to be the very last person to spend time with Tayshia. So Noah goes first, and, they share a kiss, and Tayshia kind of looks at him awkwardly, and Noah's just like, it's the mustache, isn't it? And she's like, yeah, let's get that done. And I really appreciated that. The mustache, terrible. I'm not a fan of mustaches. Mustaches, they're a relic from the past. Guys, quit trying to bring them back. Just don't do it. Nobody likes them. Nobody wants them. Get them out of here. So Noah goes off to look for some shaving utensils to get the mustache dealt with. Meanwhile, we kind of go through all the other guys. Really no huge standouts for me here. There just wasn't. We kind of fast forwarded through everybody, and I'm just sitting there waiting for Ben to get his time with Tayshia, because that's the only real one that interests me. But before that can happen, Noah comes back. He's got the razor and actually gets Tayshia to shave the mustache off. They have a nice little makeout session, as Tayshia has really been very much making sure that she gets some makeout time from the majority of the guys. And honestly, if you're in that house at this point and you haven't shared a kiss with Tayshia, yikes, you are probably in trouble. So that happens. No more mustache for Noah. Tayshia comes back to the group with everybody, and starts wrapping the night up, and Ben is just like, do you think I could wait? Do you think I could steal some time? And it's like, buddy, you obviously don't know much about this show. On these dates, it's not a guarantee that you're going to get time. So don't wait. Make sure you get in there and get your time. It's very rare that the last person to get time with the lead is the person who walks away with the rose. Do not squander your time. If you want to be with Tayshia, if you're serious about it, then go and get your time in, and don't worry about it. Why is it's always such a big deal to be the first one to swoop in and take your time with the lead? That's because that is what works, not waiting around. And this is a situation where waiting absolutely bit Ben in the ass tonight and could hurt his chances long term. We've seen lots of previews where he's very much a fixture, so I don't think this hinders him too much, but could be something that lingers in the back of Tayshia's mind as we get deeper and deeper into this competition. All right, that is it for this week. Lots more next week. I'm very much considering Tayshia's season so far a massive upgrade over the Clare and Dale season. So hopefully it continues, and I'm really eager to just watch Tayshia's love story unfold. All right, everybody. As always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we'll see you later.